Apologies for being late to the Texas review video, but actually it's a blessing in disguise because some big news dropped yesterday regarding Ryan Preece as he was fined $50,000 and 25 points for intentionally wrecking Ty Gibbs in Sunday's race at Texas. However, KYLE Busch, let's be real here, intentionally wrecked John Hunter Nemechek coming to the white flag. He did not get a penalty. Let's go over this. Once again, I'm Jake. Thanks for tuning into Maine Motorsports, and let's get into this news. Ryan Preece in Stage 2 blatantly took out Ty Gibbs, sending him into the outside wall due to some incident that happened earlier in Stage 1. Ryan Preece announced his frustrations over the radio, saying, quote, I'm reading it right here, "All right, when I get to that 54, I'm done with him. Effing idiot." And then what do you know? He got to the 54 later in the race, and he sent him around. He could have probably gotten away with not getting a penalty if he didn't blatantly say that he was going to wreck the 54. If NASCAR has deliberate proof that that was intentional, which Ryan Preece, there's the proof right there. He said it. He's going to wreck the 54 when he gets to the 54. And what do you know? He got to the 54. And he wrecked the 54. It's a shame. Preece has had a very good year so far, consistent. 10th to 12th in points. This is definitely going to hurt him. And on the contrary as well, not really on the contrary, but Ty Gibbs has had a very good year. Very impressive this year. He would have probably had a top 5 in this race. He was very fast. All the Toyotas were fast. It seems like Preece has been fed up with Ty Gibbs over the last couple of years. He said this is not the first time that Ty Gibbs has upset him. So yeah, he gets a big penalty. Docked some points. $50,000 is, a lot, I would say. Not for Ryan Preece, but like if I lost $50,000, like that's bad. It's really bad. I think it's the right call because, again, he blatantly stated that he was going to wreck the 54. And what do you know? And also, the initial incident that made Ryan Preece upset, he had 30, 40, 50 laps to change his mind. Like, maybe I shouldn't do this. And he still did. So that means he was waiting on the 54. Compared to that, KYLE Busch and John Hunter Nemechek had a run-in as well. Coming to the white flag, KYLE Busch and John Hunter Nemechek are racing for position. KYLE Busch comes up the racetrack, is not clear of John Hunter Nemechek, turns himself into the outside wall, and then going into turn 3, the frustrations got the better of KYLE Busch. He just sent it up the racetrack, threw his car into John Hunter Nemechek, hit him so hard the left rear toe link snapped, sending the 42 into the outside wall as Chase Elliott was coming to take the white flag. It ruined 2 really good days. KYLE Busch had his best day that wasn't on a super speedway in a very long time. He was on track for a 10th, 11th place finish. Very solid. Plus, he got some stage points as well. And John Hunter, racing for Legacy Motor Club, was also on track for a very good day. Here's the thing with that incident, though. You could argue, yeah, KYLE Busch just cleared himself. You could also argue that John Hunter Nemechek was he had plenty of room between where his car was and the wall. KYLE Busch was mad because he's like, why is the 42 crowding me so low on the bottom? He has plenty of room up top, as if KYLE Busch wouldn't have cleared himself if John Hunter was higher up the racetrack. Here's the thing with that. There is no rule in the rule book that says John Hunter has to give the 8 space. He's allowed to race as low as he wants. He never turned down into the 8 car. He kind of held his line off the corner. It wasn't like the 42 was up against the wall and then tried to crowd the 8. And then the 8 came up while the 42 came down. The 42 held his line. Yeah, he had more space, but there's nothing in the rule book saying the 42 has to just run as close to the wall as possible. The 8 spotter, I forget who KYLE Busch's spotter is, but he was also saying car outside, car outside. You could put the blame on both, but I'm sorry, I think KYLE Busch is more to blame. But he obviously didn't think that in the moment. He goes into turn 3 after turning himself into the wall, throws the 42 into the wall. Ruins both their days. KYLE Busch finished 20th. John Hunter finished 21st. I'll go over the race results in a little bit. The thing is, though, KYLE Busch did not get a penalty for intentionally wrecking the 42. The difference, I would say, as to why Preece got a penalty and KYLE Busch didn't get a penalty is simply due to how the radio communications panned out. Ryan Preece deliberately stated he was going to wreck the 54, and he did. Kyle Busch, it happened in the heat of the moment. Like, the initial incident happened off turn 2. 5 seconds later, Kyle Busch wrecks the 42. And Kyle Busch was shown to be upset at the 42 over the radio. He was mad at John Hunter Nemechek, like, why is he running so low on the racetrack? He has plenty of room. What? But he never blatantly said, I'm going to wreck the 42 right now. You could argue that Kyle Busch broke a toe link after hitting the wall, and he was trying to turn, but he just couldn't because his car was broken. I don't think that's the case. But it just shows how words have such a way of convincing NASCAR on who gets a penalty and who doesn't. There's no deliberate, like, concrete proof that Kyle Busch intentionally wrecked the 42. That's why. Either way, it ruined both their days. That being said, Chase Elliott, how about that? 2 wins in the first 11 races to start the 2026 campaign, the earliest in a season ever that Chase Elliott has won multiple races. He had a great restart with 4 laps to go, clears Denny Hamlin, and pulls away. For the first time since 2022, you can argue that Chase Elliott is once again the best driver at Hendrick Motorsports. Hendrick as a whole has had a pretty slow start, I would say. Kyle Larson and William Byron haven't been as good as they usually are. Bowman has been pretty good as well in the races he's ran. Chase Elliott has been consistent and has been winning races. I like to think that now that Carson Hocevar is making a name for himself and, running very well, Chase Elliott's like, bro, I might have some competition for that most popular driver award come season's end. I got to start winning more races. His 23rd career win. Let's go over some of the finishers from Texas. So yeah, Chase Elliott. He garners 69 points. Nice. Fastest lap. Race high in laps led. 87. Takes home his second checkered flag of the year. The 3rd win for Chevrolet in the Cup Series. Denny Hamlin, another very good day. It's impressive the fact that he's, 45, 46, and still is legitimately contending for championships every year. I hope he finally gets it. He's like 2nd in points. Chase Elliott's up to 3rd in points. Alex Bowman, I just mentioned. Back-to-back 3rd place finishes for Alex Bowman. This is really, really cool. I hope he does well. I'm happy he's doing great. But obviously people are still questioning, will he be back in the 48 car next year? Here's my take. If he somehow is able to make the 16-man chase, despite missing those 4 races, and being in such a points deficit, if he can somehow get a top 16 in points, I think that should guarantee him a ride at Hendrick next year. I don't think he should be shafted if he gets that top 16 points finish. We'll see. But very impressive for Alex Bowman. Tyler Reddick, even the races he's not winning, he's still running very good. For a little bit, Reddick had a chance to win that race in Stage 3, was making his way through the field, was actually running 2nd to Chase Elliott. Another top 5, his points lead still like 100 points. He's been great all year, Tyler Reddick, even the races he's not winning. I think his worst finish is like 15th in 11 races. That's ridiculous, dude. And then Chris Buescher, solid all day, ran top 5 all day. The clear best Ford. And what do you know? He finishes 5th. He actually is top 5 in points right now. Good for Chris Buescher. I'm so happy a guy like him is going to be able to benefit from this new chase. Hopefully Buescher wins a race. I'm sure he'll win a race or 2 this year. He's really good. So underrated, Chris Buescher. Good for him. And then, in 6th place, who's that right there? Daniel Suarez stays hot. Finishes in 6th place. He qualified 2nd. Dropped like an absolute rock. I began to roll my eyes like, oh my God, not again. He played the strategy really well. He got the track position back later in the race. Made his car better. Comes home with a solid 6th place finish. Got some stage points as well. Good for Daniel Suarez. He is now 14th on the chase grid. And just saying, he has been consistently outperforming all 3 of the Trackhouse cars. Maybe it was a blessing in disguise. I was worried because that 7 car the last couple of years in 2024, 2025 was like the worst car with Corey LaJoie or Justin Haley. So Spire, they've been just really good. And speaking of Spire, Carson Hocevar finishes in the top 10 again with a 7th place finish. He won the truck race on Friday. The truck race, by the way, was very good. I watched the whole thing. Very competitive. A lot of lead changes, 3 and 4 wide on restarts. Inspire finished 1-2 in that race with Carson Hocevar and Kyle Busch. Carson Hocevar, not only does he have the personality, but one thing that's going to hopefully have a long-lasting effect that he has for many years is his Chili's paint scheme. The black and white Chili's, obviously you can say, oh, it's like a Dale Earnhardt car. But having a fun sponsor like Chili's, rather than just some random car parts sponsor or some, fuel sponsor, car paint, the usual car sponsors. Fun sponsors like Chili's stick out and can have actual legacies. Remember all those Fortune 500 companies that used to sponsor NASCAR, like Lowe's and DuPont and Home Depot and M&M's, fun sponsors. Target, not just Napa, oh, car stuff. Shell, oh, car stuff. HendrickCars.com. Car stuff. William Byron comes back from this spin to finish in 8th. He's been a little slow to start the year, I will say, but overall not terrible. He still is decent in the points, top 10, but I think he'll get a couple wins this year, but good comeback. Bubba Wallace finishes 9th. Bubba Wallace started in the back of the field due to a crash in practice, but despite having a backup car, made his way through the field. Very nice job for Bubba Wallace. And Ryan Blaney was a no-show all day, and he still gets a top 10. He had an issue on pit road that wasn't his pit crew's fault for once. He stalled the car a couple times in the same pit stop, but he worked some strategy towards the end, stayed out, gained some spots. Top 10 for Ryan Blaney. He's now down to 4th in the point standings, but I'm sure he'll keep his good year going. Some other notables. Riley Herbst has his best non-super speedway finish. He's actually been very good this year. For Riley Herbst standards, I will say he's been very good. He's not second to last in points, only ahead of Cody Ware, so that's a plus. Good for him. Eric Jones wins a stage. He won stage 1 due to strategy. His first ever stage win in the Cup Series. Good for Eric Jones, man. I made a video on Eric Jones saying how he deserves a second big opportunity. I think Legacy Motor Club still has some work to do, but they're showing some strides. Keselowski 13th after starting in the back. Ryan Preece, I mentioned before, finished a solid 14th, but that doesn't really matter anymore because he lost all of his points, basically, that he earned here. Yeah, let's see. He earned 29 points, and he lost 25, so he gained 4 points. It's not good. He's still comfortably in the chase, though. That penalty might hurt some momentum. We'll see. Connor Zilisch gets the top 20, and SVG 16th and 17th for the 2 Trackhouse cars. Austin Dillon in 18th. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in 19th. And then the recently mentioned Kyle Busch and John Hunter Nemechek finished 20th and 21st after their 2-lap-to-go incident. A couple more notables I want to go over towards the back of the field. Last place, Christopher Bell. Dang, bro. Christopher Bell has had everything go wrong for him. Very reminiscent of Jeff Gordon's 2012. Very reminiscent of Matt Kenseth's 2016. How they have the speed, and Christopher Bell is doing good every single week. Things out of his control are taking him out of races. Todd Gilliland was the one who spun out and hit Christopher Bell while Christopher Bell was in the lead. That's just such bad luck. The split second decision for Christopher Bell was not able to avoid the spinning Todd Gilliland. Bell this year got taken out at Daytona. Atlanta, he was on the front row on the overtime restart, gets hooked. Had a good race going at Kansas. 2 laps to go, gets damaged. Great day going at Bristol. Hits the wall after getting a penalty. Talladega involved in the big one at the very end of the race. He's down to 13th in points. I'm sure he'll be fine, but everything's been going wrong for him. Joey Logano in 37th had this incident where he pile drove into the back of Cole Custer. Cole Custer missed his pit box, and Logano was not paying attention, I guess, or didn't expect him to stop, and he runs into the back of the 41 really hard. Logano's now outside the chase. That even year curse, in which Logano always performs in even years, it's not looking too good right now. Kyle Larson spun out by himself. He finishes 34th. That's awesome, dude. Kyle Larson's had a pretty rough start to the year as well. It's been now about a year since he's won a Cup race. And you really Chevrolet might be off to a slower start, but Spire's been doing great, and Chase Elliott's been doing great, so I don't know. And one more guy I want to go over is Corey Heim in the 67 car. The 67 car led 69 laps. If Corey Heim gets a full-time ride with 2311 Racing, can they please make the car instead of the 35 car that Riley Herbst runs? I know I sound like a kid which I'm still kind of okay. I could be a kid if I want to, you know. But like that'd be so fun. Like it'd be good for marketing. It'd be good for marketing if he wins a race in the 67 car. It'd be great for marketing. However, but despite leading a bunch of laps, flipping strategies, not racing for points, he wrecked at the end, causing that last caution. But yeah, Texas is a weird track. It's a very unique 1.5 miles, obviously. It's kind of like a wild card race now. But I thought the racing was okay. Dirty air was still a pretty big issue, but we saw some passing up front. We saw some passing through the field. Cars were unstable. They weren't glued to the racetrack like most 1.5 miles these days. It's a nice little wild card race. You have to be good at driving race cars to perform here. It was cool seeing Corey Heim lead a bunch of laps, though. It was very nice. Yeah, but the Ryan Preece penalty, Kyle Busch did not get penalized. In the O'Reilly Series race, before I finish this video off, Kyle Larson won that. And again, the O'Reilly Series proves once again that it is the best series in NASCAR. It was just really good racing. 3 wide for the lead between Brent Cruz, Connor Zilisch, and Kyle Larson. A good battle to the end with Justin Allgaier and Kyle Larson. The dirty air wasn't completely killing the 7 car. He had a chance. I love that series so much. Please do not make it electric. Kyle Larson was going to be saying, oh, he can only win O'Reilly races. Maybe, well, you know what? Maybe I like those O'Reilly wins, okay? I like when Kyle Larson wins in anything, okay? He's going to get his cup win. I hope. Hopefully soon. Oh, yeah, there was a Formula 1 race, too. I guess we'll just touch on that. Kimi Antonelli wins 3 in a row. I think the 2 McLarens of Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris made the podium. I know Verstappen spun out on lap 1. Did a nice little 360 right there. Corrected it like it was nothing. And then Charles Leclerc, I think the exact same spot on the last lap, spun out. Ferrari fans are not too happy. Yeah, I didn't really watch that race. I just watched the highlights. Those little 8-minute like Formula 1 highlight reels. 8 minutes is not a lot, bro. There has to be more that happens in 8 minutes. But yeah, that's NASCAR at Texas. We go to Watkins Glen this coming week, which is really weird. I've been to Watkins Glen a few times. It's never been this early in the season to my knowledge. It usually is always in August or like in 2024, early September, but they changed it up. I'm a little bit annoyed that Fox is going to be covering it. I don't think Fox has ever covered a Watkins Glen race. They are also enforcing track limits. So the last few years, we've seen cars use every bit of the racetrack. Anything that's paved, they use. And it causes for some pretty massive incidents and like poor driving. If you think like, oh, they're not even like using the track limits, like they're just going wherever they want. It caused that massive incident with like Austin Hill and a bunch of cars in the O'Reilly Series race last year because there was no track limits trying to get back on track. So I'm happy they're enforcing that because like 10 years ago, they would follow the track limits despite not having defined track limits. But then they stopped doing that. If you haven't seen my new video on Brad Keselowski versus road courses, please check it out. That was a pain in the butt to make. That's why this video was so delayed. But it ended up working out because the Ryan Preece penalty happened. So, yay. Thank you guys for watching. Main Motorsports once again. I'm Jake. And cheers. I'm drinking my Monster.